Hello and welcome to Mindset Kitchen. I have an amazing guest with me today. My name is Diana Palukaitis and I'm the host of the show. I have a huge pleasure to introduce Stephen Gillen. Hello.
Hi, Diana. You're a great friend as well. I love your work. It's a real privilege for me to be here with you today.
Absolutely, likewise.
So thank you.
So without further ado, I want you to tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've got quite a bit of a story. I'm a best-selling author. Of course, my new book is just out. It's already been #1 bestseller in 2 categories. It's called Extraordinary: The Search for a Life Worth Living. It's an autobiography about my life. It's, there's a lot of darkness in there from my old life. It's fair to say I've lived 2 lives. The past life, unfortunately, was really dark. There's a lot of trauma there. Went to prison for a long time, involved in organised crime, sadly, and all this stuff. But really transformed my life. In 2019, I was nominated for International Peace Prize, which is a great privilege. I've since gone on. I'm a successful CEO of a few companies and executive producer. I've just finished. I do a lot of stuff in front of the camera now, so I'm a TV personality
So
now.
you're going to be amazing here, the camera.
Yeah, a bit. Well, it's work, and I concentrate on the work. I'm really grateful person. I've got some series out there already on Sky. I've just finished one with Ross Kemp, which is out in May as well.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's non-scripted and it's going to be very, very big. Can't say too much about it at the moment, but I hope that gives people a little kind of understanding of what I'm about.
Wow, you summarized your extraordinary life in a really, really small minute, which it's really hard to do because your life is unbelievable. And I bought a book and I'm reading it and I'm taking my time to read and understand. And I hope people get the book and read it because it's extremely inspiring. And you know what? No matter what past I think we all have, if we can make it the way you made it, to bring the light into it and actually to share everything that you learned, you lived through with the world, it's actually going to tie in actually with one of your messages today, is why we're here, So I really appreciate you coming over here and being my wonderful guest. I'm just going to introduce what Stephen decided as a meal for him. I've done the steak previously on the show, but you know what? It's not just a steak because when you wrote me a message, he said to me, like this, a bit this on the side and a special mushroom. And I had to go back and ask, what does he mean by special mushroom? And you know what? I'm being quite sarcastic. I thought of all sorts of special mushrooms to bring here, but I had to decide to one particular mushroom. So I'm making this for Stephen today, a ribeye steak with triple cooked chips with a bit of a pan-fried asparagus in smoky soy sauce, which I've already prepared because not many pans fit on here. So I had to prepare some of the things, especially the fried chips. And then as a start, I'm going to serve you enoki mushrooms. I'm not sure if you ever had them before. These are special.
No, look, no? I really wanted to, I know you are an exceptional cook, amongst many other things. So I really wanted to, not just, steak and chips, it's one of my favorites, of course. But I wanted to be able for you to inject your flair into it, and your culinary kind of, talent and have, play with it a bit. So that was the reason. I hope I haven't caused too much trouble with that.
You know what? I do appreciate the trouble, as you call it. I appreciate the challenge. And, that's a little bit of a challenge to come up with the meal and look for the mushrooms. But I like that because it made me grow, right? I've never cooked them before. I have no idea how they taste like. So I'm going to be deep frying them and I'm going to make a little batter, deep fry them. And I've created my own recipe, by the way, here. After frying them, I'm actually going to serve them on like marinara sauce. So it's actually kind of like a bit of an Asian influence, but mixed with a bit of Italian, and I'll let you decide. But I tested myself yesterday. I feel like I've ate so much fried mushroom by this point, and it was actually quite good. But it's not a recipe anyway. It's a kind of concoction of mine. Wow. So I'm going to read your first.
Well, there are so many. You see, with mushrooms. I mean, I was introduced to this kind of side of it as well. Not that I don't know, really don't know a lot, really, as a cook. But Yeah, and there's just some wonderful combinations of mushrooms with sauces that really lift and elevate a dish like this. That's the flavors are amazing with this
Yeah.
dish. So thank you.
Well, enoki mushrooms are actually full of nutrients as well, Stephen.
Mm,
So they're full of variety of vitamin B. It's really good for you. It's quite healthy to eat. I'm going to kill the health a little bit by frying it, but nevertheless, just as a known factor, it's really nutritional mushroom at the end of the day.
yeah.
So what I will do, I'll read your first message. I can't wait to get into them. I literally was looking forward to this day so much. So thank you so much for all your 3 messages. I know they come literally from your experience, from your life. And I'm going to read the first one. Life doesn't give us what we want, but what we become. Tell me about it, Stephen.
It's my experience. I mean, it's very profound. I just done a TED talk. It's just going to go out to 40 million people. I actually started the talk, which was on the 6 laws of transformation, which is going to be my second book. So I signed a 2-book deal with this, and I started the TED talk with that. Life doesn't give us what we want; it gives us what we become. Because of course it does. And if you think about it practically, we start off as this blank sheet. There's a butterfly, and it's magical, it's wonderful. And then life, it comes in, and there's the twists and the turns, and the storms come through for us, and there's a lot of falling down and getting up. And it's not that we, make mistakes. Sometimes we should make as many as possible quickly, because then we're over that. But life will always give us what we become, because which gives us room, because this is about growth, right? So my story really is the epitome of that, and with that paradox as well, because I wouldn't be where I am if it hadn't have been, or where I had have been.
Mm. And if you say, if you turn back the time, would you choose that again?
That's a really good question. I would definitely choose not to hurt anyone, or to anything like that. There were times I lost, so many years, which was, not just taken from me, but taken from other people. And, that's time could have been used for the betterment of so much. So, but then again, the other side of that is we really have our own specific bespoke journey here. And it is about working that out and making the best of it, right? Because there's more going on here than us, right? It's a journey. So, it's a funny one. I suppose we have to embrace what we're given, and you make a life by structuring your choices and the architecture that you're building going forward, of course. But that's why life will give us what we become, not what we want or what we like. This is not. It's about duty, and it's about going forward towards creation, towards creating things.
And you know what? A lot of inspirational people have lived lives normally with some sort of challenges in the past. And at the beginning of our lives, we actually do a lot of mistakes. We do crazy things, and it's kind of looking at those different chapters in your life. You have to live through something to become something or someone. And as I'm raising my son now, I don't want him to not make mistakes, and I don't want him to live the life peacefully and perfectly. I want him to kind of go through a lot of things that people do get to go through,
And do you
but
know the
it's
thing
really
about
find
Diana
a
as well?
balance.
Yes, like absolutely. But you know the thing. I mean, I've got 3 children as well. Is he will live his life as well.
Yeah.
He will live his life. Of course, he's going to have all the guidance from you,
Mm.
but ultimately, he will live his life because he has his journey. That can be hard for us as well,
Yeah.
because children they come through us, not really from us in a sense. Is another thing that I've learned. I mean, I have 3 now, right? A little bit older, so it's just the way it's woven, right? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, what do you think about where? Actually, can you just? I'm going to go back now. How did you even start? So, when did it all finish for you, in a sense, that chapter? And when did you decide that, what, I'm going to make the most of my life now on? What was that penultimate moment in your life?
Well, I was really one thing I'm really hot on is preparing yourself for success, or whatever you're doing for success, right? Project, whatever it is, because I was really set up for something else. I was kind of left as a child in that way, in the middle of a war zone in Belfast. That was my formative years. Everyone was killing each other and all this. It was a terrible environment, right? My surrogate mother died of cancer, and I was the little boy on the boat with the case by myself. And of course, it went from bad like to worse then. So all the way through, although of course we are accountable for all that we do, I was really positioned for a lot of failure, as some people unfortunately are, right? And this has a compounding effect that makes it impossible for people, to really get out of that, right? So that was the underpinning stuff. But, there's no excuses. You get older, and, I was really groomed into that life from, petty crime into really serious organized crime. And, I was very damaged within that journey, but I had taken all that trauma with me all the way through. So, you have a blinkers on in a way, because, I always say, it depends what part of the hill you're sitting on, how much of the valley you can see. But what one person sees with a higher mind, someone else may not even know that it's possible to see that part of the valley, right? This is the way that life is. So I saw through that life for a long time, and but it's hard to make the break. So, and it's like the 6 laws of transformation, which I put down in this book. We need, Diana, we need the circumstance, we need the timing, we need the courage, we need the opportunity, we need the clarity, and we need the intervention. But we need all of that to come together at the same time. And when that comes together, then we can really have meaningful change. So there was a few epiphanies, but I saw through that life. I'd always played by the rules of that life, so I wasn't beholden to anyone. But when them things come together, then I had the chance to really, go forward into a new life, if that makes sense.
So all of those 6 things, well, showing 5, 6 things came together for you at that particular moment in your life. Wow.
This is a really, really important one, because if I ask this question, I've been on some of the biggest platforms in the world, Good Morning America, Good Morning Canada, and they all ask that, of course. What's the moment? How did it happen?
Oh, really?
Yeah, right. And it's really important, because it's to help people out there. And I always say, because I've had the bitter experience, right? It's the circumstances, it's the opportunity, it's the timing, it's the courage, it's the intervention, it's the clarity. Sometimes we may have 3, but it's not working for us. We're thinking, why isn't it working? I've got the courage, I've got the opportunity, and I've got the clarity, but I haven't got the intervention, I haven't got the timing, and I haven't got the circumstances. But we beat ourselves up. We say, this can go for any change, any monumental change that we need to do, right? And we say, oh, it's not working for us. Why? We go round and round and round. Well, I worked out, even for me, that is really where it's at. That them things need to come together, and when they do, then we can go forward into meaningful change. But here's the good thing about it: when we know that, we can engineer for these things to come together. We don't need to wait. So that's one of the answers, right?
So I'm going to challenge you a little bit on here, because I am the kind of person who doesn't have all set and ready together. I just go for it, and I figure things out as it comes. Would you say, can you go for it when you have those 2 pieces? Can you just go for it and figure on your way out? Because it's a lot of preparation and settling yourself. It's not everyone could get themselves in a perfect position with those 6 things, because it takes so much time, and they could waste a lifetime trying to get to those points. My attitude is always like, you know what, just go for it. Just go experience it, because there will be failures, there will be falls, there will be pain.
100%.
But that pain will bring you clarity. The pain will bring you transformation in general, right? So I think it depends how you look at it, and depends on each person, isn't it?
No, absolutely. We are forged for it. I always say forged for greatness, and if you look at anyone, who's really done anything, in a sense, they've been ridiculed, they've hit the brick walls, they've had the whole lot, really, because that's part of life's way of really breaking you down and humbling you, and making you the right thing within yourself, which is where the keys are, because it's an inside job. So, what I'm saying is it really depends again from where you're coming from. Apart from some of the challenges that we all have, and I know some that you've had, you know, is really you're coming from a heart-centered, healthy place. You know, if you're coming from that place, you're always in the right place for really good growth anyway. That's where we always want
Yeah.
to start from. But life can put us, people, places, and things in other
Mm-hmm.
states, and we can get really stuck. You can't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah.
So if you're getting into a position like that, you need answers, and this is the time where you can say, well, okay, I need a practical plan,
Yeah.
and this is where stuff like this can get us out of that and give us a real clear roadmap. Well, if I do this, then it depends how much that you really want it. But don't forget we've got timing in there as well, Diana.
Yeah.
That's why timing's in there,
Yeah.
because all these things are very, very important together.
Yeah. And as you say, it depends on the individual, where you are in your life. Because what I'm trying to say, you can have lots of different ways to do certain things and make a change in your life, right?
Mm.
But the components that you're sharing are quite amazing, because once you know them, then you actually know what you're looking for in the first place. Otherwise, you're kind of a little bit lost and you're like, where do I go next? But it's more like an anchoring points, isn't it, for you to, that this will work now, when you have. So I think
Well,
that's
it's
really
very tough
amazing.
for us, if you think of some of the traumas we have to go through, right?
Yeah.
Bless us. The emotion of it and all of it can
Mm.
really, get us floundering, all right?
Yeah.
And we have to go through these stages of emotions and all that. Now, it's all right saying sitting here when we're okay today, but
Yeah.
if you're right in the middle of something like
Oh
that,
God.
it's a
Yeah.
different experience.
Yeah.
So, you need a roadmap, because you will get moments of clarity even within
Within
even
the
within the
darkness.
pain.
Yeah.
And this is a time you want to grasp onto something. But it's the answers. When we have answers that work, this expedites our way, because we don't want to stay in pain. We need to feel pain.
Mm.
But I always say, Dana, we can look, and this is a fact. We can learn in joy, inspiration and love, or we can learn in pain, trauma and fear. It's really
Mm.
a simple. Well, we can learn in both. Sometimes we need both, but we want to be on the light side and be learning in
Yeah.
inspiration, joy, and love. All right. So if we feel pain, that's fine. We're meant to, but we don't want to stay there, do we?
No. No. I always say life gives us something that we all can live through and experience. So it's not, if you can't live through that, you will not get. But I think your experiences and what you lived through, and I've already just started the book, but I can see it's going to be hard. I was at the point where you're hiding behind these bushes, and they
Oh,
are
yeah.
with the guns in the streets, and I was like, how are you gonna come back home? And I was just thinking of that moment, and then I read it after. But it's intense, and I was trying to imagine how you must have felt as a young boy, and my God, I would be petrified right now as an adult. So imagine as a young boy, and you survived through it, and it's extraordinary, as you say. Right, I'm going to start cooking the mushrooms. So what I'm going to do, I've got here flour, garlic salt, white pepper. I'm putting here cornstarch. I'm going to mix everything up. This is a real light batter, so stuck at the bottom now. All the preparation that you have to do before filming. It's actually filming is goes by in an hour, and I've been here since 7 a.m. Like,
Yeah.
what have you been doing?
It's a big setup.
Yeah, it's like 9 to 5 job. I've got some baking soda. Goes in there, and now I'm going to lightly mix the batter. Do you do cooking yourself?
I must confess, I wouldn't put myself down as any big cook. I can throw something together,
Yeah,
but I love food.
yeah,
Of course, I don't drink or any of that stuff. I haven't for
yeah,
many years. One of my things is food.
yeah.
I'm dying. It really is. So I'm a big foodie. Absolutely.
I love food.
Yeah.
Food is, I don't know what it is. I'm obsessed with it, to be honest. It runs in my family as well, and I travel the world to go to restaurants. It was just I still got a big list to visit the top 50 best restaurants in the world before I die. Let's see how that works out.
This is a good obsession. This is a good obsession, definitely.
There you go. So I've made a light batter with no lumps. Easy peasy. Right, and I'm going to read your second message, but beforehand, I'm just going to dip these. So basically what I'm going to do is dip these in the batter and start frying. So it'll be a lot of frying noise in the background, but yeah, feel free to ignore that noise because this is the usual in the kitchen. Right, second message is, the most valuable commodity in life is not money, but time. Tell me about it.
Well, me who has wasted so much, of my life, it has to be said, and so much of my time, it was a big one for me that, of course, it's true because, we don't know how much of it we have and it is going to run out. So, what could be more valuable than that? But I have to say that when the penny dropped on that one, and that really come in, that that wisdom through the experience, it was a game changer for me. It changed absolutely everything. For me,
Wow.
who had wasted
Yeah.
so much of my life before,
Yeah.
it really had an impact because I had that clarity. I thought, God, because then what you start to do, Diana, is you start to ask the right questions. Every moment, if that's true, of course it is, every moment is precious. So, what am I meant to be doing with all this wonderful time I have
Yeah.
left?
Yeah.
And who am I meant to be spending it with? And who am I not meant to be spending it with?
Very true.
All these very, very fundamental questions. And they changed everything in my mindset, everything in my thinking, everything in my workflows, everything in my approach to life, people, places, and things, how I structured my life, how I valued my life, how I was able to look at the different areas of my life, work, personal, children, hobbies, fun times, all of this stuff, and learn to even appreciate them for them times when I was in that box, for instance. And it's made for so much more of a progressive, successful, but fulfilling life for me because it's the right approach. It's the right approach. I mean, money, even relationships, Diana, people, places, and things, they come and go. And I'm a great believer because of what I've been through in my life. I understand. Yeah, the success is great. I mean, I'm a workaholic, boots on the ground, and I'm just so privileged. And I always say, thank you for that, right? To upstairs, whatever it is, I say thank you for that. And I say thank you for that, right? I make a point of saying thank you for that, right?
Yeah.
And but I realise we're only borrowing all this stuff anyway. You have to have
Yeah, that's the right
the
attitude.
right understanding about what is going on here, and then it helps you to have the right value of people, places, and things as well. These things are massive. So many people are not there with that, but it changes everything when you have that clarity. I certainly didn't have it in the first part of my life, so that's the time thing.
Yeah, and you know what? It's the time actually runs as a theme in Mindset Kitchen because, to be honest, we must appreciate that all we have is today. And I would understand I've lost someone special, but you would understand as well, right? That we're not certain we there tomorrow or here tomorrow. And once you understand that, and you really understand not the way, yeah, I will be there tomorrow. To understand the way that today, what are you going to do about your today? Because the past is gone, the future is not certain. And I think once you're really grateful for that today, then you make a shift and actually make a change in your life to actually really enjoy every day.
Yeah, I mean, Diana, there's a lot of science behind it, with that going into the esoteric science or anything like that. But it's proven it that, with the field and everything else, it's very important that we're in that moment,
Yes.
and what is that moment, to feel that moment, to connect with that moment, but in the right way, because we are creating the architecture of what's coming next.
Yeah, exactly.
Science has proved this now. Even with
Yeah.
the epigenetics, when we're
Yeah.
going back, there's a lot we're dealing with here. But
Yeah.
if you really want to, really safe, abundant, happy, meaningful life, not just for you, but for the people around you in your circle and the people that you love, these things are very important. You know?
And you know what?
Absolutely important. Absolutely crucially important.
I totally agree, because sometimes when people, okay, well, I made a change. I've made lots of positive changes in my life. I'm living my best life, but you're not really actually sharing. It's not almost like you're not opening it up, because the key to us figuring us out, like you figured it out, is to actually now, I'm all sorted. Let's see who else needs sorting. You know what I mean? Let's see who else wants to be affected by my, let's say, change, by my positivity, by my transformation. And I think you realize at some point that it's your time now to actually do something else for others now, because I've worked a lot on myself. I've built this for myself. Can I spread the word, isn't it? And that time then you spend working yourself up is now time to actually kind of open up to others. Does that make sense?
Dinah, that's so wise. You know, you're so spot on there, because what it is for us, this is the right way around, and it's that evolution of the spirit and all that, and the work, and the personality, and understanding, right? Connectivity, communication. The giving, the being a part of, not apart from, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it is. It's the evolution of that. Wouldn't it be great if this was it's the way it's meant to be, the right way around, and everyone, we're growing or aspiring to get to this place where we realize, thank you for that, for all whatever it is I've had to go through and been given, but it is about others as well, because it's not just about me, it's an us, it's not an I. And that's what I had to learn on a really, really, really dark, tough road, Dinah. So I really get that. And we're both really different, but we're the same within that. You see, that's a beautiful thing, because it really joins. It doesn't matter where you come from, if you're a male or female, or what's really gone on. But there's a point of real,
where you become almost the same, because you understand that.
Of real transformation, and giving and creativity. So
I totally agree. And when people say, this is my challenge, this is my problem, but yours looks worse, there's no comparison, unfortunately, because the way people are and the way we experience things and the perceptions, you can never compare. So if I've gone through something and they say, oh, well, I can't complain around you because you've gone through it. No. You still gone through something horrific to you. Our lives are separate and different. But what makes us the same is that path and that point where you actually decided to make a change about your life, made a change, and then you moving up that mountain. And that's where we meet up each other.
Part of. No, absolutely. That's why I thought that was a really, really important point that you brought there, because it puts us together at that point, and I've realized that too along my journey. I'm sure there's many others would say the same Diana as that.
So Stephen, this is actually absolutely crazy concoction, because I am actually going to use a bit of Asian spices. So there's cumin, coriander, and paprika. I'm going to I'm telling you, it works. This is so I'm going to slightly sprinkle on these mushrooms. There you go. Now I'm going to place the mushrooms over here, and I'm going to, I'll just pass these here. There's plenty more for later.
Okay.
I'm going to actually take this plate away for steak later. And
thank you.
Please have a go.
So you want me to
give a try? Please give a try.
You want me to try?
Let me know how it tastes like.
I'm very happy to try.
And if you ever tasted anything like that before, that will be what I'm going to do quickly is just prep the pan for the chips to cook. So it's a lot of multitasking, as I was saying, and a lot of pans in and out. But I want to make sure everything is nice and ready. There you go. Okay. What do you think?
Look, it absolutely
What's the
works,
concoction?
No, it absolutely works.
It does?
And I've saved myself for this as well. So, to get the flavours. And honor you, of course.
You're starving now, so it's actually even better, because you're so hungry, actually anything will go. Good thoughts. Right. Whilst you're having a nibble on this, I'm going to read your third message. And I absolutely love this message because this is exactly where I am now. And when I read the message that you brought, I was like, okay, wow. We're definitely in a very similar place right now, because this is the reason I'm doing Mindset Kitchen, is for this particular message. So we all have a message to bring to the world. One of our jobs is to discover this and develop it outwards to contribute and change things. So, Stephen, I don't want to ask you why is this message, because it's very obvious. But can you just tell me few moments from your past and from your current life that makes you say this particular message?
Yes, that is wonderful, by the way.
Thank you.
And I love mushrooms.
Yes.
So, I'm really into this.
It's a new recipe. I'll send
Really
you home with a recipe.
Yeah. No, it's lovely. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time as well, to do all this wonderful stuff.
My pleasure, Stephen.
In my work, with the studio and film, TV, in the entertainment industry, public speaking, even with the brand building, because we build brands, global brands, diverse industries, we really get to see a lot. Wonderful people, diverse industries, whether they're a singer, a dancer, they're selling something in the outer Mongolia, or, they're building skyscrapers in Manhattan. I mean, the whole bit, really. I've realized that all of us really come here with a message. It's like a code, or it's a gift, or, however you want to call it, and it's in there like a bit of Brighton Rock, I've realized for us. And part of the job, as we navigate this strange life sometimes, strange, brilliant and wonderful and tough life at the same time, is that we find ourselves, but when we start to peel back the onion, then of course we start to, the message and more is like revealed, right? But there is a message in there. It's like a calling. Vocation, maybe. It's like we have doctors, we have surgeons, we have all these people. So, I've realized that no one's any more or any less, obviously, than anyone else. It's not about that, right? It's about the message. And part of it definitely is that we find ourselves and find the clarity of what that calling or that message is, obviously. And then it's about to, get good at it, to shape that, and to, express that message to the world. So if you're someone who's building skyscrapers in Manhattan, for instance, and your life journey has taken you this way, that's your expression to the world in your medium. But if you're a singer, a dancer, a doctor, you're a wonderful cook, right? You do TV, like we're doing now. That's another example. And it's, it's about getting that message, that medium out into the world. And I've really learned that, and I have the facts, and I've confirmed that through, and continue to confirm it through all the wonderful people, I'm privileged to meet and, work with and know and all that stuff. So
it's almost like a really interesting anchoring point to have, is living through life to say, what, one day I'll have a message to send. One day I will spread my message outwards. And it's kind of like you can realize it earlier, but many times you only realize at a certain point. And there is no particular point in your life. You just eventually realize it. And I think I realized many things I have kept inside. And I never used to say anything about my challenges or my issues. I think people think I'm quite positive, quite strong, and I don't really dwell back or kind of cry about things. So when I start opening up about my childhood, about my life story, people said to me, "Oh my God, I would never have thought you'd done this, but now explains because the way you are, blah, blah, blah." And I would say, okay. And I didn't realize that people really appreciate that. So slowly, over the years, actually having mentors, coaches, are the people who made me realize that I should speak. Because once I spoke into one person, like, okay, I need your advice. You could tell me what to do now because you've been through something similar. And it's that relatability, that experience, that it's not just the neighbor going through loads of crap. It's actually, I've gone through lots of crap. I just may not show it the same way as the other people, and vice versa. So it's realizing that those messages that you have, some people will think, well, no, it's not important. Who cares about my message? That's the wrong attitude in the first place. And I think that's the attitude I used to have when I was younger. Who cares, like, what I've gone through? Who cares? Like, but then lots of people care, because the way you are now and the messages you carry and your mindset is because of those experiences. And especially if your mindset is positive now, then people do need to know, because you have obviously grown, you obviously learned. And for me, I think that realization only happened probably 3 years ago. And actually, my husband died 4 years ago. So a year after of my whole kind of transformation and rebirth, I've realized I shouldn't be quiet anymore. And actually, I have lots of wisdom and knowledge in my inside. So now I'm going to be outwards and actually going to be sharing. And you know what? It's enough one person to relate. That's all. That's all I need, one person, and if there are 10 and more, and it's that triple effect, right? That happens. And I think that particular message that you brought is literally right on my street. It's exactly where I'm living and breathing right now.
But it's so, do you know what, Diana, is what it's so, it's so beautiful. And it is a beautiful thing to watch, people get that. It's like the butterfly in a way. I mean, we may do this a few times in our life cycle for sure.
Yeah.
But it is because more is revealed, right? And it is that next level of, but it's in there, right? It's definitely in there. And one of the things is, there's so much timing in this life, and it's so profound, because there are so many people who come to us and they say, "Oh, I don't really know what my dharma is. I don't really know what it is, what I should be doing, or purpose, or stuff like that." There are ways to unearth that, but it definitely is in there. And I know this for sure, that when we cross that river, life, it opens up, so much more, doesn't it? In every way, right? This is for sure.
I think so. It's about realizing that any challenge is actually a lesson to someone else as well. So if you keep it inside, actually, the other person will have to also go through it and experience it. But many times, we actually, with the Mindset Kitchen show, my aim is really to, like, not, you don't have to go through so much stuff. There are certain other
To
ways.
learn by other people's mistakes is where the
Yeah,
wise money
exactly.
is. That's where the real, there are many forms of intelligence, as you know, right?
Yeah.
There are many, but that's where the real cleverness is in life skills. Is, yeah, we make some of our own mistakes, we're meant to, but really try and learn by other people's. I mean, I'll give you an instance. One of my, and it's like a superpower that I have, how I've kept, elevating through different industries and the stuff that I do. People think, oh, how do you do that? What's the middle bit? There's a lot of stuff in there, obviously, but one of the things is I always remain open to learn.
That's
Not from
good,
people
yeah.
who's going to waste my time, obviously, who or who's not right for me, Diana, right? But the right people in the right way at the right time. Because look, even if we lived here 5 lifetimes, we would still only know that. So what do we really know? People have so many gifts,
Yeah.
to give us. So it is about that listening, but it's definitely not about the ego, and it's about surrounding yourself with the right amazing people for you, and but being open to learn, and that thirst, no matter how high you can go or what you're achieving, always really be open to learn. I've found that to be so pivotal, so pivotal,
I
so
totally
pivotal.
agree. I've read the book by Carol Dweck. I'm not sure if you read it. It's about growth mindset. It's
No,
as you say, it's so pivotal, because there are
sounds great.
lots of successful people, and there were some of the people really born talented. Let's say talented in football, or let's say, or talented in certain arts or whatever. And they did an experiment, and those people who were born with a talent and they did not kind of continue learning because they thought they were really talented.
They thought they knew it.
Yeah. And then the people who were not born with the talent, let's say some basketball players, they wanted to play like this talented person, but the not talented one had to really work hard. But what this talented person done in comparison to that, he kept on growing and growing, and overgrown the talented one and became more successful than the talented one. And that's that growth mindset. If you don't think that you already know and you are good at it, that's it. I think knowing that there is always so much to learn. Keep on learning. You are 70, 80, you think you mastered it all. No, there is still so much more. Just starting. Yeah.
Just starting now. Well,
yeah. Exactly.
Seriously, no, it's absolutely the way to go. And I find it, really strange when I hear someone saying, "Oh, I know." It's like I can't help but having a red flag come up in my head. Words have wings, and I'm so mindful of the words that I use or how I construct them words. It's like that thing, always standing guard on the corner of your mind. Because you are the sum of your thoughts, right, and stuff like that, and your feelings. You really have to keep working on that, right? And if I can do it, God, I come from, and I've had to internally engineer, Diana, absolutely everything. I really had the whole lot of people read that book, the whole lot. And I always say, look, I'm not that special. I'm not. If I can do it and find the ways to do it, it's open to all of us, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's a great thing.
It's actually one of my messages. Because people say, well, how are you going to do this? But I said, look, there's so many people really doing this. So why are you asking me how I'm going to do it? I'm going to do this because other people can do it, so I can do it. Yeah. Because I always say...
It's the start.
It's the start, right? I always say, is this person a human? Yes. So I can do it too then, because I'm a human as well. And that's that kind of mindset that I have. When I... this is all going a little bit woo, but I just remember that because at that time, my head was like, don't know how I'm going to do it, but I was so committed. When my husband passed away, I went to see a medium because I wanted to see, because we haven't shared anything about death and anything. And I went to see the medium, and the medium did a reading for me. And I kind of came out of his office, and I was like, my friend was there. I said, it's okay. But you know what, if he can do it, I can do it too. And I've never done anything like that, never connected to the spirit world or anything like that. But when I came home, that was my mission, to actually speak to my husband myself, because I don't want some intermediary giving me some random messages. I wanted to see it for myself. And then I did it. Stephen, it took me 6 months of hard work, but I did it. And there was 5 years, 10 years beforehand, if someone told me I will do this, I would be laughing, like falling off my chair, like what?
How did that feel for you when you finally felt that you got there with that? That closure and that, because I know this, but God, you've had such a rough ride with that. This was your learning, all right? Which you accept, and you really, and I love that because. However it's crafted, I mean, it is, obviously, right, we have to move forward for whatever reason, right, and, but how did that feel for you? Because it's about you feeling that you actually talked to him and there was some closure and it was authenticated, right?
Yeah.
So how was that then?
It's almost like I found the answer why he's no longer here, because it was his life, his journey, and it ended according to his term, his journey. For me to accept it, it's not to do with me, why you left me so early or why did you die so young.
Yeah.
It's about his journey, which he lived through, and that was his way. And actually I realized the spirit world, how every life that we will live, we actually have chosen ourselves. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, or I wouldn't choose it, but
look, I believe this too. I have to say, I'll just put that out there too. I'm very spiritual. I was brought up with loads of religion and all that. Not to say that, I believe that all these paths are the same pathway towards the same source. So I have no, that's wrong, that's right, anything like that. But for me, I'm very spiritual, and what I've come to, I've seen that, we've been here many times before.
Yeah.
This is a real journey, and I believe that, absolutely, we do see, our loved ones and the people that we're meant to see again in different forms, certainly.
Yeah.
But it's not like, the end here, all right? There is a lot more to this.
Yeah.
So,
I laughed at him because he's one of those people who never got really fussed about things, never got hurt or never taken things to heart, and he was really friendly to everyone, gave so much to everyone, never needed himself anything.
well,
And
very good.
I just felt like, and he lived quite a good life, I must say. He came from Canada, and he's really smart, extremely smart, like crazy smart. And he lived such a good life. And I thought, you know what? Makes sense why you're no longer here in a human form, because you figured the stuff out way too earlier
You achieved what
than
you want to
us.
achieve,
Yeah,
which
he's
is,
done it.
yeah.
He traveled the world. He did crazy things. He took risks. I mean, you name it. I'm literally admiring him, and I'm like, wow, cheeky you, done it all. Escaped too early now, and now you get an opportunity to choose another, different
Do you
line.
know what? I'll tell you a real exclusive story, which only my family know now, right? But I feel that it's good to tell you at the phone. About, God, 9 years ago, I had a really bad chest, all right?
Yeah,
So, I was doing all these interviews and all this work still, and I just didn't feel right. So I was taking all these, antibiotics. I'd feel okay for, a couple of days, and then it'd come back. And I had this thing for like 6 weeks. It just wasn't right.
yeah,
So people got me, the people got me in the end who was around me said, Stephen, look, it's not working. We're taking you to hospital to get sorted out. Males, they're kind of, we'll be getting the last rites before we go to hospital, right?
yeah,
Strange, but true. So I go to hospital anyway. They do these tests, and then there's a big urgency. They say, we have to get you straight back in for these tests. We want to do the dye because we
yes,
want to check something out. Anyway, so I go in there, and the X-rays and everything. They said, look, we found a shadow on your lung. That's what they said to me. I thought,
yeah,
wow, that doesn't sound too good. But look, I had my family and all that, and they come up and they was all crying, and I get it, right? And this was just on the eve when I was writing my first book, Diana. But I said to them, look, I'm not saying this is going to go on forever, but I haven't finished my work yet, right? And I'm not. It's all right, don't worry. And they was all, and I can remember walking down that hospital. I had to wait about 2 months until all the big tests come back. So I had 2 months of,
yeah,
these thoughts. But you know what? I was so proud of myself because I remember walking down that hospital corridor, and I actually was the real thing in what I'd said to my family. I was actually living. So
really,
although thoughts every now and again, these negative thoughts would come in, I would push them away, and I continued working, continued on my book, continued on everything I was doing, all my work, kept going, same thing, didn't let anything get in my way, right? And I held true to that. 2 months later, I go into the doctor's surgery to get the results. Sat down in the chair. He says, I've got good news for you. He says, you're in the all clear. He says, we thought at the start that we saw a shadow on your lung.
yeah,
He said, but it disappeared.
yeah,
He said, it disappeared. He says, Stephen, you've changed your life.
yeah. Your
If you
mindset.
hadn't have
Yeah,
changed your life, we'd be having a different conversation now.
yeah.
But fair play to you. So how about that? It's quite a story, isn't it?
Well, Stephen, you literally touched the point where I am at this point in my life. You know why? Because I'm actually studying this. Because if the human mind can make yourself, if you can
Heal
make
itself.
yourself sick, you can heal yourself. So I'm studying Joe Dispenza's. If you
He's
know,
amazing. Joe
so
Dispenza.
that's how he
I'm a
healed himself.
big fan of Joe Dispenza.
Yeah. So
Make
you
sure you into his
basically
stuff.
done that.
He's got the full science behind this stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm studying at this moment because I'm so fascinated about it.
Yeah.
Because I know the power of the mind and what you can do and what I've done for myself with that. I am now studying to take that next level so that I can again experience it and then I can talk about it again and show to people. But it could have been potentially the exact bit where you healed yourself with the mind, because once you accept your work is not done here, once you accept that this is not the end and you not succumb to that, then you heal yourself. And it's like a placebo effect. You can say that's it, I'm dying, you're actually going to die. You can say this is impossible, I'm not dying, and you continue with that. But it needs to not just come from your brain, it needs to come from your whole being.
You have to link all of it, especially the feeling and the heart, the heart-centered electromagnetism, all of this stuff, all right? It's 5,000 times more powerful, the heart, electromagnetism, Diana, than the head.
Yeah.
When we're doing affirmations and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people don't know that. 5,000 times more powerful.
Yeah.
And it is about linking this stuff. But you see that story, Diana, I've never told it to anyone. Only my family knows about that. And
you should be talking more about it.
Very close people. Because but it's a real story. And, I'm glad I've shared that today, because that shows you the power, of your convictions, and, really believing in the good stuff, and changing the world for good stuff, and having a mission, and having work, and having to fulfill what you see, and you envisage.
I am so glad you shared that, seriously.
Yeah.
And I think it's unbelievable. And I think you need to look into it. What really actually happened in your brain at that time, and why? And I guess you already know Joy Dispenza. But it would be fascinating for me to actually ask, outside of the filming, ask you those particular questions I'm studying. So I know your mind must have been so tuned into that belief in your thoughts. There was not a single negative thought. You literally were almost unaffected by it.
And you know what, Diana? That was one of the keys, because you have to be the real thing at this moment. What is your faith with this? Do you really believe? How bad do you want it? Yeah. Do you have, are you walking the walk and talking the talk and thinking the thing? Are you there, or are you a bit there, or what are you with this?
Yeah.
I had that feeling.
Yeah,
it's really saying to me, all right then, Steve, where really are you with this stuff?
Yeah.
This is, where really are you at? And it's really calling out if you're the real thing, or where are you within that? And, I kept going with all the work done, absolutely everything. My family all around me was kind of falling down, around me, because they thought, oh my God, this is like, surely not, and all this stuff, right? And I didn't let them thoughts infiltrate my mind. Every now and again that word would come through, but I'd let it go through as if it was like the wind, and I wouldn't, and I would, I would be resolute in well, that's just rubbish. Because there's no way that we're up for that yet. Yeah. Look at what I have to do. I'm not saying it's going to go on forever. But there's important stuff to be done here. And look, all I can say is, they was very, very adamant at the start. In hospitals, they don't move fast. You know that. They move fast when they have to. So there was all that activity. It was an urgent business, right? And they definitely thought that they see something there. My life before that, many years before, there would have been a price probably for the life I would have lived. That's another part of it. But this was eradicated. I found it absolutely, it was a very, very profound moment. But it just reinforced what I had come to learn and understand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you know what? Something you just mentioned, I love that expression, because I say it comes and goes. You said just like the wind. The thought, we're all going to have those thoughts, because we are made like that, to have the risk factor, negativity.
They come around.
They come, and it's what you're going to do with them. And you just said just like a wind. I love it, because that's how I am living my life right now. Anything that comes my way, it's negative, or it's giving me anxiety, making me worry, it literally lingers for a couple of minutes for me to understand why I'm getting it. I say, okay, I understood you, now go away. So it's almost like a wind. I sometimes write down in my journal and say, this is what I felt that moment, this is what I've done, and it's almost like it disappears.
Do you know, with that, Diana, what I've found as well, and this, we have our own ways to manage and navigate this stuff, it has to be said, and that's an important part of it. But I've learned when it's good is when that stuff would come in, is not to resist. Oh, it's say thank you for that.
Exactly.
But that's
yeah.
not the deal here. This is actually the reality. So you've moved the focus. You haven't empowered it or pinned it to the post or lifted it up, but you've acknowledged it. You've diluted it by saying thank you and freed yourself, but then moved on, and then you've rooted. But this is actually the reality.
Yeah.
It's very important how you frame stuff.
Exactly.
But I'm telling
Framing
you,
is everything.
it
yeah.
is absolutely everything. Yeah. So
yeah.
I hope that helps. It helps
I mean,
for me.
Thank you so much, Stephen. This has been amazing. And in the background, I was nearly finishing to cook as well. So thank you for sharing your story and your personal aspects of your life. And I know your book is going to be absolutely amazing for people to read and, understand a bit more about you. And what I'm going to tell now is what I've been doing in the background. So, the triple cooked chips, there is a process, Stephen. These are like the little babies that endure the life from yesterday. So I had to put them in the fridge overnight in the water, and then I boiled them this morning. Then I fried them once, and this is the second fry now. And that's why they kind of get this little, just put a little bit oil off. That's why they get quite nice and crispy.
Wow, they look wonderful.
Nothing in this house you will ever eat that is not homemade. So I actually specifically thrive. Well, there will be some maybe things that I bring in, like ketchup or mayo. Even that you can make. But in the interest of time, I try to do everything myself. So the chippies here. So what I made here this morning, just when I woke up drinking my coffee, is a chimichurri sauce. Not sure if you tried that before, but it's one of my favorite steak sauces. So it has parsley, chili, garlic, oregano, red wine vinegar, and olive oil. And I used to order that in steak restaurants, and it's actually supersedes this peppercorn or béarnaise sauce.
Peppercorn sauce, yeah. It's the usual one.
Yeah, so whilst the steak is resting, I'm going to serve these. And over here I have asparagus, but I did them.
I love asparagus too.
So I grilled them
You've
this
outdone
morning.
yourself. You really have. No, seriously, it's it's one of my favorite dishes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I grilled them this morning, but I got the secret ingredient, smoked soy sauce. So it actually tastes like being barbecued. You can tell how they taste. You will see, but I get this extra flavor because of the soy sauce. Right, I'm going to serve. You okay for me to pour a bit of sauce here on the side?
Please, yeah.
You're trusting me, yeah? That this is going to be good. There you go.
I'm very lucky. You see, my partner Daphne is a exceptional cook.
Yeah,
when we get a chance to cook, we get so busy. But we're like you. We love that. We love experimenting with good food. Wholesome food as well.
Yes.
Wholesome food. Yeah, there's so many kind of food out there. Like you've got to be so careful because they put all this bad stuff in there.
Exactly.
And it's not good for the body or the mind and all this stuff, right?
That's why homemade.
So we kind of watch what we eat a lot more now. I've been educated a lot more with that now as time's gone on, right? And it's a very important thing, right? I see that you.
I made
Stephen
ribeye steak with chimichurri sauce, triple cooked chips, and asparagus infused with smoked soy sauce.
Oh, it's amazing. Thank you.
You enjoy, my lovely. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And I'll put all your details on my website for all the connections, the link to your book, the purchase your book. And I wish you all the best of luck with everything you do because you're absolutely amazing. And your life stories makes you an extraordinary person. And that's why you're here in my kitchen. So thank you for taking your time and being here. I truly enjoyed chatting to you.
Oh, thank you, Diana. Look, and you're the same. I'm privileged to know you are an amazing person. I love the work you're doing here with Mindset Kitchen. Of course, we do some work together as well here and there. And the book's out there, and we've got a private launch and different stuff. And I'm very happy that you're going to be coming. There's going to be some wonderful people here. Really, thank you for inviting me down. This is amazing.
I'll let you leave to enjoy. Thank you very much, everyone. And hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.